Sacramento Acoustic podcast. Jason is out for the evening. So sad. I'm here with Danny Secretion.
Hello.
Hello. It's so nice to finally meet you.
I was about to say, Jason, you look a lot better in person.
That would have been funny.
It would have. It would have.
All right, so we're just going to jump right into questions.
Sure thing. Go for it.
All right, so is Secretion a family name?
Okay. Actually, it's really funny because people who know me know that my daytime job, I'm an elementary school teacher.
Yes.
And I seriously get this asked all the time. Do your kids call you Mr. Secretion? And quite honestly, and I keep waiting for them to laugh after they ask the question, like, yeah, real funny. But they're serious. Like, they seriously think my last name is Secretion. So when people ask me that and then I can judge that they're being serious about the question, I usually just say, yes, they call me Mr. Secretion. So I'll just leave it at that. But I hate to, dispel the myth, but no, Secretion is not a family name.
Oh.
And Rat is not his family name, and Filthy is not his family name. But my middle name is Ramon, though. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, well, that's cool.
So that I do get points for that.
You regained your punk rock valor.
We've got a Reynoso, a Priest, and an Ostrander in the Secretions, but those don't sound so rock and roll.
Ostrander sounds buff.
Really? Yeah, I don't know. Paul, yeah.
It sounds like
Paul, yeah.
We will pump you up.
It does. It could be that, but I don't think Paul can even do one push-up. Not sure about that, but so that's why Rat, Secretion, and Filthy. That sounds a lot more. Right. I don't know, kind of, weakling punk rock superhero type of.
Keeps your anonymity.
Everyone all you have to do is go on Facebook to find out what our real names are and all that. But I like having a stage name. It's fun. It's something I learned from back when we started playing. There was a promoter by the name of Jeff O'Toole, and he would always refer to people by their first name and the band that they're in. And Danny, this is Nick Yamo. And I was introduced to Nick Offer as Nick Offer, who also plays in the band The Yamos. I was introduced to Nick Yamo. This is Kepi Gooley, Kepi from the Groovy Ghoulies. And so I just kind of took that on, Danny Secretion. Mickey already kind of had his stage name all set. Mm-hmm. We named Paul Filthy because a band that he was in prior to that, this is how long ago it was, on their MySpace page, he was listed as Filthy Paul. And if you ever go on tour with Paul, you'll understand why they call him Filthy Paul.
Just so happens I'm set up to.
Yeah, and so we just kind of flipped around like, that makes a great stage name, Paul Filthy. And I didn't think he was going to go with it, but he loves it. He loves it. So Paul Filthy. He's a very clean guy.
Most people usually take on their nicknames, especially if they're given by people they.
Well, God, I hope not. Mine's Secretion. It's like.
I'm sure a lot of people probably don't even know what that word means nowadays.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, it gets them hitting the dictionary. It's funny because I'll get coworkers asking me what the name of my band is, and I'll tell them the Secretions, and I just sit there and I wait for their reaction. So
the teachers.
Yeah. So to answer your question originally, no, it is not my God-given name, Secretion.
Okay. The Secretions have been a staple in Sacramento for a really long time.
That's a nice way of saying we won't go away.
Like, as much as we try to pry it out.
Yeah, serious, no.
We don't want you to go anywhere.
No, thank you.
I know that I used to go to shows when I was young, 14, all the all-ages shows that I could get into. I was in there.
Thank you.
Living it up till 10 o'clock.
There you go.
Real fun times.
Gotta stick with that curfew.
You played with lots of bands, and you've met tons of people throughout the music industry. Mm-hmm. Do you have a moment that stands out to you that you want to tell everyone?
There's a lot of them. I mean, and so many times, people like picking like the biggest show they played, we've played some shows where, there's been hundreds of people there. We got to play it's called, I think it's called Sleep Train Arena now. Back then it was called Arco Arena. We got to play there once. But quite frankly, some of my favorite shows were like living room shows, we played church basements. It's kind of hard to pick one of my favorite moments. I think my favorite thing is like you were saying, is like, my favorite thing to hear is when people tell me that their first punk show was a Secretion show. I never get tired of that, and to me that's like the biggest compliment. And I always kind of I joke with a lot of the other elder statesmen in the music scene that, you know, we're kind of the gateway drug to local punk rock, and they'll, it's like, even if they move on to listening to different types of music, it's really nice to hear people telling me that one of their first shows that they went to was a Secretion show. So I guess when that's one of my favorite things, when I see people. It happened recently at a show that we played at the Warehouse, where someone brought their daughter and they said, I'm really excited, this is her first punk rock show. And that's always my favorite.
That's
awesome. Always my favorite too. It's like, okay, because I think we're safe. Our shows provide a safe environment for kids to kind of get initiated into that scene. We don't encourage fighting or any of that idiotic behavior at shows. We like being a safe haven for all the dorky kids, because that's all we are. We're just older. we're still dorky kids. We just have to shave now.
Yeah.
Well, two of us have to shave. Paul's still waiting for facial hair to come in.
Oh, poor Paul.
Well, he'll start doing push-ups. Next thing you know, he'll start shaving. He'll live up to that Ostrander name.
Yeah.
Of his,
Yeah. Well, maybe he waxes.
No comment.
Poor Paul. He's gonna be like,
he's gonna hate me for this, but that's it. Paul knows I love him. He's the new guy. He's only been in the band for 8 years.
Oh, okay.
So he's still the new guy.
Nice. This says that you're a sports fan.
Yes.
What sports do you follow?
I am the one sports fan in the band. I've been a Pittsburgh Steelers fan since I was 5 years old. I absolutely love that team. Everyone asks if I'm from Pittsburgh. No, just the first time I ever saw football on TV, it was the Super Bowl with the Steelers versus the Cowboys. And I remember being 5 years old, but still seeing like the Cowboys coming out in their silver helmets and their white uniforms, and it's all sparkling. I swear, you see like a sparkle on the quarterback's teeth, and the announcers saying, "And here comes America's team," and they're just trotting out onto the field. And I was 5 years old, I didn't know much, and then I could hear the crowd starting to boo as these guys came out in black uniforms, and they just looked like criminals. And I thought that was cool. To me, it was like the Darth Vaders of football. And so ever since then, I've been a huge Steelers fan. I also like, I don't get into Major League Baseball that much, but I love going to Sacramento River Cats games. Mm-hmm. I like going to Stockton Thunder games. And then, of course, my favorite professional sport is professional wrestling.
Oh.
Like Supreme Pro Wrestling right there.
Nice.
So that I think is the last great American sport.
Very fun.
But the other guys in the band, they're okay on sports.
Not really into sports.
They actually they have a good time going to see it live. Like I've taken the band to see to wrestling events.
Those are fun.
Mickey has gone to hockey games, and we keep talking about having like a band retreat, going to see either the Sacramento River Cats or Stockton Thunder or something like that.
Baseball games are fun.
Yeah, baseball games are
They're relaxing.
They'll like it because there's beer and food there, and they'll get into it for that reason. But I'm the dumb jock of the band, but I'm not really that much of a jock.
Yeah,
I know how to throw a football though.
Oh,
and I can throw a baseball pretty well. I can make a 3-pointer on a given occasion, every now and then.
On a lucky day.
On a lucky day. I can barely ice skate though. It's pretty sad.
I love ice skating.
I do too. I wish I could do it, but I just don't have. Mexicans were not born with the ankles to ice skate.
You're Mexican? Oh.
Yes. Secretion is a Mexican name.
Secretion.
Yeah, Secretion.
Yes. Oh, you have that accent. You do it so well.
I
in
practice.
Your blood.
Yeah, it is. It is. I have
when
secretions
I do it,
in my blood.
I sound half lame.
Okay. That's okay. I'll give you a pass.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
This was a song that was, seriously, it was the very first song I ever wrote. And so the song is about 22 years old. And it was written about a girl, as most songs are, but it was about a girl she was a good girl, but I wasn't ready for a good girl at that time. I was way too immature, and I wanted a bad girl. And so I wrote this song for her. You're falling in love, but I won't catch you. You want a tender touch, but I won't help you. Your friends say I'm a jerk, they don't know me. You seem like you're confused, but it's so easy. Let me ruin your life. I wanna screw you over. Let me ruin your life. I wanna make you suffer. Let me ruin your life. I wanna make you hate life. Let me ruin your life. It's only 'cause I love you. You don't like being hurt, but that's a fact of life. You wanna care for me, but I don't want a wife. You want so much from me, but you won't get it. Your dreams will not come true. Just forget it. Let me ruin your life. I wanna screw you over. Let me ruin your life. I wanna make you suffer. Let me ruin your life. I wanna make you hate life. Let me ruin your life. It's only 'cause I love you. Think your crime's gonna change my mind. But I don't care, so don't you waste my time. Well, my lover once, but I don't need you anymore. You're falling in love, but I won't catch you. Your friends say I'm a jerk, but they don't know me. Your mom says I'm a jerk. I screwed up the words, I don't care. 'Cause this song is older than most of you here. Let me ruin your life. I wanna screw you over. Let me ruin your life. I wanna make you suffer. Let me ruin your life. I wanna make you hate life. Let me ruin your life. It's only 'cause I love you. 'Cause you're the love of my life. I can't believe I screwed up the words on the song still. And I think it's a male-female thing, because my wife can listen to an album and then the next time it's on she'll be able to sing along to the whole thing, and I know a lot of women can do that, but men screw up their lyrics, so that's why I think every band needs a female lead singer. Just my take.
The Secretions are looking for a female lead singer.
Oh, that's gonna go over really well. That's gonna go over really well.
Just kidding, guys. All right. Well, we've already heard several times that you're a teacher.
Yes.
How does that translate into your music, and how does your music translate into your classroom?
Well, I don't play any of the songs I write in my class. I'll get sometimes kids, the older kids that at my school, they'll ask me, they'll say, "Hey, is it true you're in a band?" And I just dismiss it. I'm like, "No, I'm just a teacher." You know, I've actually told kids that I have a twin brother who plays music.
That's good.
And so, I don't know how many of them believe me. Probably the same amount that believe that, yes, kids call me Mr. Secretion at my work.
Right.
They don't really, I really think it's important to have a Jekyll and Hyde lifestyle no matter what you do. And I've been teaching for going on 20 years, and I'm not burned out on it, because I have this other side of my life. I have a very happy home, and then I've got my rock and roll life. I've got this wonderful community of friends that I've met that are all over the world that I met because of music. Mm-hmm. And teaching keeps me grounded. It keeps me. The similarities are that you're trying to make a change, and you're trying to give something positive to the younger generation. But no, I don't bring what I'm doing in punk rock into the classroom. And I'd like to think I'm not bringing what I do in the classroom up on stage, because that can get a little preachy. But I've toyed with the idea of doing like a little spoken word to kind of get more punk rockers into the teaching profession, because I think we need that. There's so many teachers that I see that are burned out, that are just they're teaching with the goal of retirement, and or these teachers who they were always straight A students. I never was. I was a D student all the way up to high school, and then in high school I was a B, C student. The only time I got A's in school was when I was finishing up college doing my teacher training, because I was way into what I was doing. And so I've toyed with the idea of kind of doing a spoken word to try and motivate some punk rockers, some of the younger punk rockers who are still in high school, like, hey, this is something that you can look towards. Look into this. This is, teaching is a very punk rock profession. And there's a lot of musicians, there's a lot of punk rockers who are teachers, who work with kids. Like Sarah and Bear from Cold Heart Repress, they're both in education. And, even Mickey was from Secretions. He was a substitute teacher for a while.
Alex Tremayne teaches music.
Yeah, and he's a music teacher. And awesome. it really is a very fulfilling experience.
Oh, I can only imagine. And it's so important that you said punk rock and teaching are like hand in hand. Getting information out to people, having people think for themselves. So many teachers were straight A students. Yeah. And they're like, I'm right.
And I'm not going to be in the...
And so it's good to have somebody that wasn't on the top level teaching kids, like, you don't have to be up here what the standard is. And you can be you.
Yeah, and I'm always really hesitant because, parents can be really frightened about who's in that classroom. And I'm not the kind of teacher who's up there, throwing middle fingers up in the air going, fuck the system, fuck. No. I'm trying to, give these kids the tools to create a better system, to go out there. It's like, become politicians, become doctors, but you need this academic discipline here. And so I'm a very strict old school teacher.
That's good.
And I gave up on trying to be the cool teacher a long, long time ago. So they don't need a friend up there.
No.
They need someone who's going to be a hard ass and who will smile at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I'll tell at the end of the year I smile and I tell the kids I love them, and I was a jerk because I cared.
Right.
Get out of the class.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're parenting for 8 hours a day, basically.
Yeah.
So, and all those kids need somebody to look up to. They don't need someone to stand, beside them and tell them,
exactly.
They need somebody that's teaching them to be better. And that's really cool. I respect that a lot.
Well, thank you.
I like that you keep your life separate. That's really...
I kind of have to, just because, for my own sanity, and because sometimes I feel like, people on the music side may not understand why I'm so passionate about teaching. And people in the teaching side might not understand why I'm so passionate about music, especially independent local music, and how vital I think that is to our city. People they just want to make judgments.
Right. So why give them anything to judge?
They're going to judge no matter what. But,
right.
But, I'd rather just keep those two lives separate.
It's good to have a professional life. It's good to have...
It helps pay the bills.
It's good to have separation.
Yeah.
I think everyone needs that. Keeps your brain, your psyche, because you leave it there, and then you go here, and you leave that there.
I think everyone needs that, whether it's golf, hunting, bowling, playing rock and roll, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Gotta have those two.
That's good. Are you originally from Sacramento?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am from Sacramento. Born and raised.
What area?
Born not too far from here. Born at Mercy Hospital, and I live in South Sacramento, just a little south of Oak Park.
So you lived downtown?
No, I've never been a downtown guy. It's like south of Oak Park.
Oh, okay.
So the hood.
The hood. I live in Oak Park, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I do. I love Sacramento. I think this place rules.
It is. It's a good town. It's a small town. All right. What bands influenced you as a musician?
That I can go either the local bands that really influenced me in starting up, and then the obvious ones, the big bands like the Ramones, the Misfits, and the Sex Pistols. To me, that was the punk rock holy trinity. And so, of course, those are big bands who influenced me. Locally, though, when I was starting to play music locally, there was a band called the Horny Mormons, who were a big influence on me. That was like one of the first punk shows I went to, and it was the first time I saw a band playing on amplifiers as small as mine were, and on drum sets as crappy as ours were, and they really inspired me. Bands like them, bands like the Lizards, bands like the Sea Pigs. Those were a lot of local bands in the Sacramento punk scene that were playing and were welcoming to me. Bands like the Groovy Ghoulies. Those were bands that when I would go see them, they made me feel welcome at their shows. I'd go to other shows, the hardcore punk shows, and I never felt really welcome there. I didn't like the vibe I was getting there. I wanted to go have fun. And when I would go see the Lizards, or I'd go see the Sea Pigs, or I'd see the Horny Mormons, or I'd see the Groovy Ghoulies, I always had a good time. And members of those bands would always say hi to me at the shows. And that's a big influence on me, because that's the kind of vibe I want to always make sure to give back to those kids.
Do you remember the instance when you first realized that you wanted to be a musician?
To take it seriously enough to like play in a band, I don't know. I do know the biggest motivation for me ever picking up a guitar was in 7th grade to impress a girl, and I tried to learn the opening riff to. I spent all of my 7th grade trying to learn that, and anyone who can pick that up, you'll know how long ago I was in 7th grade, because that was a big hit back then. I did everything I could to learn that. I told my dad I wanted to take guitar lessons at my school so that I could play in church, and that was my scheme to get him to buy me an acoustic guitar. So he bought me this little acoustic guitar, and I taught myself how to play that, and I tried to play to this girl I was trying to impress, because that was by an artist she really liked, and she didn't recognize it, and I kind of gave up on guitar. I was just like, and I didn't pick it up again until after high school.
Wow.
After I just started strumming around on some chords. So I don't know when I wanted to be in a band and get involved in it. Just meeting people and realizing that we all wanted to just try to make crappy music together. So there was no major defining moment. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So to answer your question, no.
But were you a music fan?
I always loved music. I always loved music. The first style of music I got into was 50s and 60s doo-wop. One of my favorite movies was American Graffiti, so I was way into that soundtrack, and that was like my thing. It was oldies, 50s and 60s. So then when I discovered the Ramones, I was like, wow, this is just oldies, really fast and loud. And so that got me into the poppier punk side of things. And then when I felt like getting in touch with my dark side, I'd listen to the Misfits and stuff like that. But still, I never, I always kept it catchy and fun.
Yeah.
So I've always been a fan of music.
That's cool. That's almost, my dad's into doo-wop.
I have a lot in common with a lot of people's dads.
He doesn't believe in anything after the 60s.
Okay.
After 60. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't believe in it. Elvis, huge Elvis fan. Totally into the King, so I grew up on the same thing. And I actually, as soon as I started listening to punk music, when I got older, that's what I was into.
Yeah.
I was like, punk is just oldies faster.
Yeah.
That's exactly
At least
what
it
I
should
thought.
be. The type of punk I like is oldies faster.
That's how I got into it. And then I started going, to the Dead Kennedys and stuff like that. The darker stuff.
Yeah.
But I originally started with stuff, and then I came to your shows. And the Groovy Ghoulies, and, the Smurf song, Hair of Gold, Skin of Blue.
Yeah,
That's
there you go.
One of the most catchiest punk songs that's ever come out of Sacramento.
Yes.
And I was digging it. I just loved it. So we're on the same page with that one.
Good.
All right. Well, so what song are you going to play for us?
Since we were talking so much about wrestling, I will start off with a song that I wrote a while ago called Viva la Lucha Libre. And it's my little ode to what I think is truly the last great American folk art, professional wrestling, and I'm very serious about how much I love this sport, and everyone should go see Supreme Pro Wrestling. All right. I just got to remember what key. It's so weird because I normally like 1, 2, 3, 4 doing this. So Viva, no, Viva, no, Viva, Viva. There it is. Thank you. Key of A. Key of A. I don't know if that's the key we normally play it in, but I normally play it in the key of pink drum sets, so you gotta bear with me. All right. Viva la Lucha Libre in the key of A. One of the 3 chords I know. Viva la Lucha Libre. Viva la Lucha Libre. Viva la Lucha Libre. Viva la Lucha Libre. Ahí viene Santo, ahí viene Mil Máscaras, ahí viene Blue Demon, ahí viene Piero, ahí viene Huracán y no olviden. Viva la Lucha Libre. Viva la Lucha Libre. Viva la Lucha Libre. Viva la Lucha Libre. Ahí viene Santo, ahí viene Mil Máscaras, ahí viene Blue Demon, ahí viene Piero, ahí viene Huracán y no olviden. Viva la Lucha Libre. Viva la Lucha Libre. Viva la Lucha Libre. Viva la Lucha Libre. Ahí viene Santo, ahí viene Mil Máscaras, ahí viene Blue Demon, ahí viene Piero, ahí viene Huracán y no olviden, y no olviden, y no olviden, Flaco no. Thank you.
Thank you.
I could not figure out that 4th chord. I'm sorry, but I tried to improvise it. So there you go.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you
Sounds
very
fine
much.
to me.
Thank
I'm
you.
not a musician. Unlike.
Neither am I. But I play one on the weekends.
So who are the most influential people in your life?
Influential people in my life. And I'm not saying this to get an aw, but I'd say my wife. She's easily the most influential person in my life because she calls me on my shit. And you know, if I start going astray, or if I let if my ego gets a little too out of control, you know, she calls me on it. And so she's definitely a big influence in my life. I would probably, it's kind of hard to say. There's probably like a 5-way tie for second place of really close friends that I have, and they're all. I met them through the world of music, but our friendship transcends that. You know, if I decided to stop playing music, I would still be friends with these people. And so it's kind of hard to say, but there's about 5 guys who I just really look to for advice and for inspiration. So
musically, I know that you said the Misfits and have been an inspiration to you. Locally, what bands have you gone to recently that have inspired you?
I think seeing a band like City of Vain blows me away because I don't think there's really anyone who's doing what they do.
Totally.
A band like Bastards of Young, who I don't like calling them a punk band not because those guys aren't punk, but because I think when they're referred to as a punk band, it turns away so many other people who would probably be into it. You can take Bastards of Young, you can put them on a show with The Left Hand and Strange Party and Secretions, and they'll fit right in. You can take Bastards of Young, put them in with a bunch of these Americana bands that we have in Sacramento, and they'll fit right in. You can take Bastards of Young, take them to some roadhouse bar in Elk Grove where there's all these country music fans, they'll fit in there.
Yeah.
It's like, and they're not changing, Bastards of Young aren't saying, okay, we're going to play our punk set tonight, our Americana set here, and our country set. No, they're going to play their set. So they're one of the bands that just blows me away. It's like, it just proves to me that, you know, rock and roll is just a game of chance. Because if there was justice in the world, a band like Bastards of Young would be huge. And then you have bands like Kill the Precedent, who, you know, I'm not as much into the industrial side. I like more of their punk side songs, but just visually, they're flawless. Yeah. They're just such a great band.
That's funny. That's what I was thinking of. City of Vain is awesome, and we filmed them for Punch and Pie. I actually got knocked down twice.
They're a great band.
At that band because people were so excited to see them. Second Saturday we filmed was Kill the Precedent.
Okay. Yeah, and those three bands, Bastards of Young, City of Vain, Kill the Precedent, it's just an added bonus that there's no jerks in any of those bands. They're all really good guys.
Yeah, we've worked with them, and they're all very humble, great guys. Yeah. Great guys.
And I can sit here and I can just drop just a ton of the great bands that we have in Sacramento. But those are just three of them that come to mind. I mean, we can be here for hours. I mean, talking about bands like Strange Party, Left Hand, Urban Wolves, Setting Suns, Union Hearts, all of these great bands that we have in this town. Cold Heart Repress, and then that's just the punk side of things. And then, you know, when you go to Americana, there's great bands like Bright Faces, the Alkali Flats, all these amazing bands out there. I mean, Sacramento is just so blessed with music.
Northern California in general. I know that if people could venture out, like all over Placerville, Newcastle, these towns that are smaller are getting more bands, and they're coming to Sacramento eventually. Yeah. But you know, it is good to support Sacramento. I support anybody in Northern California. I think that if I could find a band, you know, if I could drive maybe half an hour more and go see a band.
And then quite honestly now with these internets that you kids are all about, and then, like, you know, you got what you guys do here with when you're interviewing these musicians, and then when you do the video flyers, I mean, those are just monumental. It's like these bands are getting so much exposure because you're doing that, and I mean, that's what we need to do. You need to have people making the music, and then you have to have people who are just as passionate about the music promoting it and doing things like videos, doing interviews, doing shows like this, putting on shows, running venues. I mean, it all works together.
So you said that your wife supports you, and you do have a support system in your life. Has there ever been anyone that's ever been against what you do? That's pushed you?
You know, just in having relationships, there's sometimes where it's hard to be in a relationship with someone in a band because you're sharing them, and it has nothing to do with, you know, doing anything, you know, inappropriate at shows or stuff like that. But it's like I would think it's kind of hard, you know, to be in a relationship with someone that people are just kind of just looking at on stage, and, you know, for some reason there's something that's attractive about someone playing music on stage. You know, there's something attractive about, you know, singing or playing guitar or drums or bass. You know, there's something really attractive about that, and I think that's a hard thing to do. And I've, you know, been in relationships before where our relationship, I'm not going to say the person, but our relationship wasn't secure enough to handle that. And, you know, when you're singing songs about hard-ons and you're singing songs about whatever, and you know you're talking to girls at the merch counter, then it can cause a strain in the relationship. So you have to be your relationship has to be secure. It's not this, your partner has to be secure. Your relationship has to be secure. So there's been times where I've been in relationships in the past, and shows would end in a fight, just because, why were you talking to that girl? I was trying to get her to buy a shirt. You know, bullshit. And it just got really ugly. And then, you know, with my marriage, I think it was tough when we first started dating. Me going out on tour, that's really hard. You know, to be away because, you know, she's at home and I'm out playing music every night. You know, playing music and then partying afterwards, and that's really hard. And once again, it's not the person has to be the secure thing; it's the relationship has to be secure. And if you don't have a secure relationship, don't play music. Really, because it's hard. It really is hard to sustain both of those.
So what do you think about music and the internet? How do you feel about what's happened because it's happened now. It's no longer
It's-
happening.
it's-
It's already happened.
Oh, so
Internet is where we get music. So
I think it's wonderful.
That's
I think it's
cool.
wonderful. I think a lot of people say, "Oh no, screw the." No, I think it's wonderful. It's like the reason why there's kids in Europe who've heard my band is because of the internet. The reason why some kid in some little town in the Midwest is able to purchase any of my songs is they can download it. Hopefully they're paying the 99 cents for it, but I think it's wonderful. It kind of puts us all on an even playing field as far as that goes. The one thing I know this is just the old guy talking about it. I miss MySpace. MySpace, the way it was set up was so awesome. I booked 2 national tours solely on MySpace, and we're talking full North American tours. Just you were able to go on, type in a zip code, and then find the top local bands in that area of a certain genre, find the venues they're playing, contact those bands, contact the venues, network that way. I mean, it was great. That's one of the things that Facebook isn't. They don't need to cater to that because they've got so much money coming in from all these other places. But MySpace was awesome for bands. It's like we made so many new fans because of that. So anyone who's against it, I mean, maybe they're just being a little too romantic about it. It's like, yeah, you can still go find that 7-inch at a record store and discover bands through zines and all that. But the internet is the zines for these kids today. So anyone who's complaining about it, okay, look at your reasons for complaining about it and just let people do what they do. It's like people are gonna discover music online, and maybe it's not as romantic as discovering those punk rockers who discovered music through a zine, or they got a 7-inch from their older brother's friend back in 1981. Or maybe that's much more romantic of a punk rock love story, but there's still some credit to a kid, hearing a song, online.
that was me.
Yeah, so
I was the same. I was that kid. That's how I found out about punk rock. I wasn't allowed to
yeah,
go out to shows right away, and I was into music at such a young age that my parents were right-wing Republicans. They're not going to let me at 10 years old.
That's the best way to get your kid into punk rock.
Go out, yeah. Totally. So the internet, I got internet in my house, and I found a download site, and I had thousands. I learned about so much music, and I find that that's when I got older and I had money, I started buying music.
Yeah,
I paid to go to shows.
And as long as people do that, they actively go out and search something new. That's you gotta respect it. So I'm all for it.
That's awesome. Was there ever a time when you envisioned doing something completely different?
From playing punk rock?
Yeah.
Or well, I mean, I played bass in kind of a country Americana band once.
What band was that?
We were called the Devastates.
Oh, okay.
And you can't really find any of our stuff online. Oddly enough, there's a snowboarding video that has one of our songs on it. So, if those of you who snowboard, if you're watching it and amidst all the punk rock, you hear this country song, chances are it's us. But I've always been drawn to very simple, high energy punk rock. It's what I know how to play. It doesn't matter if there's people playing it better than I do. I challenge them to have as much fun playing it as I am. So I've always been attracted to that high energy, simple punk rock. No big, complex chord changes and breakdowns and all that. I mean, I'm not into that because I don't know how to play it.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons I can respect bands who do that, but that's just not what I'm into.
All right.
So,
was there ever a time when I'm sure there was a time, when you were in high school that you weren't playing music?
No, I was a late bloomer. I'm so jealous of people who got into punk rock when they were teenagers. I mean, like I said, I listened to 50s and 60s doo-wop all throughout high school. If I got into punk rock, I mean, you see these kids who are coming out to shows and they're like 13 and 14. I'm so jealous of them that they get into it at that age. I mean, seriously, if I got into punk rock when I was 13, I could have seen the Misfits with Danzig. I could have seen the Dead Kennedys with Jello. I could have seen the Ramones with Richie Ramone playing drums. I could have seen all of these great bands in Sacramento. But I was a late bloomer to punk rock. It wasn't until my freshman year of college, and I started listening to the Ramones. And then by that time, the punk scene in Sacramento started, not dying out, but not being so at that stage where you had the Misfits and Devo and the Ramones and Dead Kennedys and Violent Femmes playing these little tiny venues in town. But so I'm so jealous that I didn't get into it as early as kids are today. So
I'm jealous those bands were already gone.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm lucky, and I'm not. No, don't feel sorry for me. I've seen the Ramones like 8 times.
Oh, okay.
I'm very happy with what I've seen. I'm so jealous of the kids who get into it early because I am like, if I was that young and got into it, what I could have seen, what I could have experienced.
Yeah. Did you always want to be a teacher?
No, hell no.
No,
what did you want?
What were you aspiring?
I hate school, and I hated it, and I didn't know. I wanted to either be a psychologist or a writer. I just got into teaching because I was working in a school, and I realized that I enjoyed teaching kids. All right, let's see. I believe there was a request for the Dirty song. Is that what the Dirty song? Believe it or not, God, it's all a bunch of old songs that I'm playing. That's okay. I don't mind. This was my feeble attempt at trying to write a love song for that relationship that I was talking about earlier, where we would get into fights at the end of shows. I was really trying to write a love song for her, and it was going to be really serious. It was like A minor. That's a really sad chord, and then it was going to la 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 la. And then this is what came out. You're too young for me, but as everyone can see, everything about you changes my anatomy. The way you snap your gum while you're beating on your drum makes me want to jerk off till my wrist is feeling enough. Gonna press my lips against you when you hold me, so you can witness firsthand what you do to me. That's not a pickle in my pocket, that's my purple passion rocket. It's getting set to the last harvest for you. For you, baby, you make me pop a corner. You make me feel alive when I write out your eyes. Baby, you make me pop a corner. I think about you every day. See you all the way. I want to do the things that Mom said you should not be. Gonna press my lips against you when you hold me, so you can witness firsthand what you do to me. That's not a pickle in my pocket, that's my purple passion rocket. It's getting set to the light up just for you. For you, baby, you make me pop a corner. You alive when I wrecked out your eyes. Baby, you make me pop a corner. I think about you every day. It's you I wanna lay. So, some of you heard this story, but on the original recording of it, there's like a phone ringing, and then a lovely female voice answering the phone. The female voice was actually our guitarist Kevin, and if he didn't have a very feminine voice, Kevin was his voice was kind of like this, but it was the magic of the recording studio that they were able to make sense of the beautiful that she was by saying hello. And so, Kevin, thank you for all your years of service to the Secretions. Gonna press my hips against you and hold me, so you can witness firsthand what you do to me. That's not a big one in my pocket, it's my purple flashing rocket. It's kisses to light up just for you, for you. Baby, you make me pop on. You think that you lie for my wrecked out cheap eyes. Baby, you make me pop on. I think about you every day. It's you I wanna lay. That song is disgusting. Woo! That's what God's gonna say. It's alright. You can go back.
Me and Danny came up with questions that we wanted to make sure that we asked because these are important questions.
Okay.
What's your favorite curse word?
Oh man, my favorite curse word, fuck. It's universal. You can be a fuck. You can get fucked. You can fuck someone up. You can feel like fuck. I mean, it's so universal.
It is the all over.
Yeah.
You can describe it. It's a noun. It's a verb. It's an adjective.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's wonderful. As a teacher, I think that's the best answer that you could have come up with.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I have one more way to go. What do you want God to say to you when you reach the pearly gates?
Wow. I want him to say, "It's okay. I'll let it pass," and then he'll let me through. That's what I want him to say. He'll know what I'm talking about. But I want him to say it's okay.
All right. Well, Danny, do you have anything further you'd like to say? Any last words?
Well, let's see. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Secretions are playing here in Sacramento at Harlow's on St. Patrick's Day. And it's going to be an all-ages show, actually. It's going to be an early show, all ages, done by 10 o'clock. And St. Patrick's is on a Sunday, so... we got that going on. Later on next month, in April, the Moans are going on their first tour. It's a band I play guitar in, and we're playing here in Sacramento. We're kicking off our tour on March 27th at the Press Club, the 21 and Over show, and then kind of our welcome home show from tour is on April 17th at the Warehouse with Michael Graves, The Left Hand, Avenue Saints, Strange Party. It's going to be just like an all-star Sacramento horror punk show.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited for that show. Are there still tickets available?
There are still tickets available if you go on Facebook and you look up the event. There's all the bands are selling tickets, or you can just look up the folks at the Warehouse and figure out where those are. I know the Moans we're selling tickets online, so you can do that.
Michael Graves is selling tickets online.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you can find any of their shows, Sac Punk shows, and there's tons of promoting on Facebook, so please, everyone look
that evil internet.
Yes.
That evil internet. See, and that's another thing. It's like, it's a way to promote. So
it is.
It is.
So look up the Secretions, look up the Moans.
Yes.
If you haven't heard of them before, please. You have videos on YouTube, I'm
yes,
sure.
we're on, both bands have videos on YouTube. One of my favorite one was the one that I believe you guys did for Rock and Roll Horror Show for the Moans. I was just blown away when I saw it. I'm like, man, it looked like a real band. So it was fun. I love that one. So the Moans have that. Secretions have a few videos on YouTube. And there's tons of live stuff up there too. So yeah, look us up. Facebook.com/Secretions, Facebook.com/The Moans.
Right on. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure to meet you. I've been waiting since I was like 14.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, Suckerpunks.